Rayne. Welcome to the
Hey,
podcast.
what's up? Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for being here. I picked a beautiful day for us to do this whole thing.
It is awful outside.
Yeah, we hit a fun little cold snap here in Lafayette. I guess I just mentioned we're in Lafayette.
Lafayette, Indiana. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I've been bouncing, like that's where I'm staying, but I've done podcasts like in towns nearby
Oh,
here
yeah,
so
for
much.
sure.
So, but it's good to like get to know the area a little bit, and now
Yeah.
you finally get to be like my Lafayette guest.
Yeah. Hey,
so
I am
congrats.
honored. I'm
Yeah,
super honored. Thank you. I say it's awful outside, but I live for this weather. Like it
Yeah,
is my favorite weather.
it's turning into fall for sure.
Yes.
Um,
It was 90 last week. It's not even 60 today.
I get depressed when it's raining.
Yeah.
Is that just me? It just every time I'm like trying to just like hold it together. Like don't
When it
be
rains,
immediately depressed.
I love one day of rain.
Yeah.
When it rains for days like it is right now, I get pretty sad.
Yeah.
I start contemplating so many things I shouldn't be contemplating.
Well,
just
that's probably good in your world, right? Like you
It
like
is.
to be deep sometimes.
It makes me emotional,
Yeah.
which is the whole point of songwriting, really. So
Right. So tell us who you are first of all, so that people can catch up with you.
no, for sure. So my name is Hunter Rayne. Again, thank you for having me. And I do kind of all different kinds of things, but the goal and the dream is country singer songwriter, and so yeah, chasing that right now. Just doing my best to get there somehow.
Nice. Yeah. Today's really also like a celebration of the Midwest. I feel like.
Yeah.
It's your big
Yes.
thing.
So
You're all Midwest.
yes. So my brother and I recently started a clothing brand called Midwest MFG, which, to be completely frank with you, we don't even fully know what the MFG stands for. It could be like manufactured goods. That's just what we're going with.
That was what I was picturing.
That's kind of what we thought too. So we just started that, and it's all just Midwest based. So as a dude, there's a lot of like boutique clothing out there, and I love outdoors. I love like faith, family, and all these things. And so I couldn't find anything that really represented me. There's a ton of like Southern brands, a ton of surfing brands, but there's nothing for like the 250-pound dude from the cornfields. Like there's nothing that just like gets that.
Yeah.
And so in like January of this year, I was just thinking to myself, if it's not there, I'm not the only one from here
Yeah.
that probably is proud to be from here.
Right.
So I was like, all right, well, screw it. We're just going to start it.
No, there's Midwest pride. I mean, it feels good to be back home. Like we, traveling like we do.
Yeah,
I don't spend nearly enough time in the Midwest.
for sure.
And of course, I grew up in the Midwest. So, but like when you come back, people are just a little bit different in the Midwest. Like,
Yeah.
and it feels right to me. And it feels like the middle ground in so many ways. Like almost any way you could put it, the Midwest is the middle ground. It's not only is it the physical middle ground of this country.
Yeah.
We also, the accent that we have, unless you go a little further north,
It's the most plain.
it's just English, right? It's just
Yes.
American English,
Yep.
as far as I know. But I guess that's not necessarily true when you get into Wisconsin and Michigan and all that.
Right.
There's something up there.
Yeah.
Chicago too, but is Chicago part of the Midwest? I don't know. It's hard to say.
It's weird for me to think about any huge towns as part of the Midwest.
Right.
Like in Indianapolis, even I lived there. Like it's not even that doesn't feel like a huge town to me. I'm like, this is still pretty Midwestern. Like
Yeah.
you still have a bunch of country people running around the big
Yeah.
city, but Chicago is so like it's like our New York.
Yeah.
It just feels so different.
We have there's just a good balance here. There's like even a balance on the political scale where it's like, yeah, I know some people on this side, some people on this side, and there's
Yeah.
a good mix, and
Mhm.
a lot of people tend to be moderate, and
Yeah.
it's a good vibe in the Midwest.
Yes.
So yeah, I got some Midwest pride. That's why that was one of the things I first saw when I was finding you was all this Midwest stuff, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, I'd love to just talk about the Midwest.
Oh,
Like, it's
dude.
such a great place.
Yeah, it's I've lived kind of all over. I lived in Florida for a little bit, and just when I toured, I traveled all over. And when you're from here, it's the last place you want to be. You probably get that a little bit, just a little bit of like when you're growing up, you're like, I would love to see more than cornfields
Yeah.
and these big cities and the coast and the ocean.
Yeah.
And then when I traveled, I loved it, but I just wanted to come back home every time.
You
There's
gotta
just something
leave
special.
sometimes. You gotta leave for a minute. That's what I think.
Yes.
You
It's
know,
one of those things of like you don't. It's so like you don't know what you have until it's gone type
Right.
of thing. You got to leave. Vacations are dope, but I just love living here. I can't
Yeah.
imagine being somewhere else.
I think it's good to live other places too.
Yeah,
And now I don't like live anywhere,
Right.
but it's still it is good to just like we lived out in Denver for 2 years, and that was enough for me to be like, all right,
that's cool.
I get like what that vibe is,
Yeah.
like the Colorado vibe. I
Did
get
you
it.
like Denver?
Yeah, man.
That's if I was gonna move, that is definitely one of the top 5. Like,
Yeah, but you know, it was the big reason that we like decided to get on the road from Denver was because we were like, it's time to get a house and like stop renting, and
Yeah.
renting was really expensive there.
Yeah.
But like, you will not find a starter home for any reasonable price out there.
Not
That's
at all.
anywhere near Denver. That's anywhere near Boulder. That's
I can't
anywhere
imagine.
near. Yeah,
I can't imagine.
no,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
So now you just
So
travel everywhere.
yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah. So that's like the one bad thing about it. It's just like they're just experiencing massive growth, like
Right.
growth so fast that like the interstates can't keep up with the amount of people that live there now.
Yeah, because people like there's like an influx of people, right?
Yeah.
I remember so many people. Nashville's going through the same thing, and people are just like crapping on people
Yeah.
moving there because they're just like, stay away. Our roads can't keep up. It's just crazy.
Nashville, the Front Range in Colorado,
Yeah.
Austin. I mean, all these places that we all know. It's like everybody's moving there right
Yeah.
now.
Dang.
Yeah, which is gonna change. I mean, it's kind of cool. We're gonna get to watch like how does this change the entire personality of our country?
100%.
Yeah.
We're gonna have these like meccas of people.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what it's gonna be like.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not a huge fan of like larger cities, and so the fact that all these cities that were like, I don't know if they were hidden gems at any point, but they're not going to be anymore. They're
No.
going to be the new metropolises of the
Yes.
country, and that's
Especially like
kinda
in
sad.
Austin. Like
Yeah.
so much cool history there and culture is so rich there. And then now it's gonna be
Second
the next
California.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is.
Yeah, but people like to live in cities, man. Every time I see the stats about people who like about how much of this country lives in cities versus lives rurally,
Yeah.
it's crazy to me.
I don't know
There's
why
so many people.
would pick cities.
I can do it for like a day, and
I-
then I'm done.
It's a cool place to visit. And about a day in, I'm like, okay, I need something outdoors.
Well, you have a lot of that to do. You're going to be playing venues in those big cities. That's going to be like
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah, that is my hope. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's definitely the goal. But even I toured, you know, if we get into some of like the story, I toured before, not as myself, like supporting other bands. And dude, you go to these cities and growing up as a kid, like you want to be a rock star, right?
Sure.
You're like, I'm gonna freaking tour.
Absolutely.
And then you tour and you realize you don't see anything. You get off a tour bus, you see the skyline around you, go, okay, that's great. And then you walk into a
Yeah.
building and
Yeah.
you're in a cold concrete building for the entire day. And then that night you come out and you go, wow, it got colder. And then you get right back on the bus. And
That sucks.
that's really what touring is. Like, unless you have a lot of off days, you don't really see the world. So it's interesting. It was definitely a thing that caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same, you know, I can't speak to exactly that, but you know, back before we were doing this whole living on the road thing, we would just fly to like our clients, and that whole process just sucked. For one thing, you're just like, you're never home.
Yeah.
And then like you never get to enjoy your home, and you're like, why am I paying rent for this place that
Yeah.
I'm never at?
For sure.
Then you take planes, which like we all know are
Yeah.
just the worst.
Yes.
Then you're having to rent cars or take
Yes.
Ubers and stay at hotels. And I love cooking. You don't get to cook at all
Nope.
in that situation.
Nope.
And so it was just the worst. And so obviously that's why we picked like, let's bring our home with us, and then I can have my kitchen with me. And
Which I think is so cool. And if you add up, let's say you're flying a couple times a month to clients, you add all that up, that's what your cost of getting a trailer, you know what I mean, and like just taking off is gonna be.
Yeah.
So you might as well just have what you want and enjoy it while
Yeah.
you do it. Yeah.
yeah, you have to embrace some other hardships with like the full-time travel thing.
Right.
But like whenever everybody's always like, when are you going to stop doing it? I'm like, I don't know, man. When I get tired, we take a month and we park somewhere. And
Yeah.
by the end of the month, I'm ready to go again.
Yeah.
That's it. And
Yeah.
a month is not like, it's not a long stay. It doesn't
No.
even feel long, but
That's awesome though.
then you're just like, bye. Now we're ready to go.
And do you just stay in like RV park type of
Mhm.
thing?
Usually.
That's cool.
Usually. Because, you know, then you get like power and water. And so
Yeah, for
you
sure.
really is just like a rolling
It's a
apartment
home.
at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have a favorite one you've stayed in?
I
I know that's probably such a hard question to ask because 2 years in. Like,
yeah, but I keep it a secret. But there's one in Tucson that's great.
Okay.
And we go there every winter.
Yeah.
And it's a 55 plus park, but
Nice.
they let me go
Hey,
there. I don't know
that's
why.
awesome.
They don't ask. I usually think that those rules are like illegal technically, so they're not really even allowed to like.
Right.
But I mean, we don't have kids or anything with us, so it's just.
So they don't really care.
Yeah, I
They're
vibe
just
with
trying
them.
to keep screaming kids out.
For sure.
That's really what they're
For
doing.
sure.
Yeah.
We vibe with them anyway. I want to go to bed at 8 and wake up at 4. Like that
Bro,
sounds fine.
Don't I get it? Yes. Especially having 2 kids. That's what I have to do anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, it just is what it is.
But the best thing of like almost all RV parks are the same, as long as they're not like shady. And we've been to some that feel shady, and
Yeah.
you're like, all right, I'm gonna lock my door a lot.
Yeah.
Here. But then the ones that are the best are the ones that have like the one in Tucson has trails right off the back. So you could go walk around for hours in the
That's
desert.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
That's cool.
right.
Very
That's the
cool.
way to go.
Wow.
So yeah, it's good stuff. But like I've seen like tour buses at these RV parks too occasionally.
Yeah.
With like the big wraps on them and
Yep.
stuff. And
Yeah. Sometimes I stayed in a KOA, and that's what it's called, right?
Mhm.
KOA.
Campgrounds of
In
America
like
with a K for some reason.
yeah, I have no idea why. That's cool branding.
It's their
Whatever.
thing.
In like North Dakota one time, I had like 3 days off, but there's nothing to do in North Dakota
Yeah.
for a group of like 12 dudes. So we stayed in a KOA, and that was not enjoyable. But I think it was because like I was in charge of all these guys, so I just felt like a parent. Like I
Mhm.
couldn't really like take off and do anything. But I can imagine just like rolling up with a camper though would be so fun. You know, your family and just like the things you like to do, especially going places like that. Like I know you're like an outdoorsy guy. You know, you've got the archery hat on right now, which I think is
Hell
dope.
yeah.
So those places, just being able to pull out your bow and just like go find a place and practice or hunt there. I don't really know what the rules are.
I'm learning right now.
Really?
We're going on our first whitetail hunt in Wisconsin in about a month here.
That's awesome.
That sound right? Yeah, in about a month. I'm really excited. Yeah, I got a friend who's gonna take us, and we're staying on their property. And that's the other good side of RVing is like we
Yes.
can boondock on their property.
Yeah,
and
just roll up.
Yeah, they
That's
have like
cool.
a generator we can borrow. And it's just
That's
like,
really
there you go.
cool, man.
Yeah, so we put a deep freezer in the RV lately, which has been fun.
That's
we like
awesome.
took the chairs out and we were just like, let's put a deep freezer in. Like
Yeah.
we want to make hunting like a real thing. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah, for sure. And I looked at your Instagram a little bit, and I was like, this is really cool that you guys are like diving in, and it's interesting. I find it really fascinating because like I'm just getting into it.
Yeah.
So to see someone else just be like, hey, we're just kind of like figuring this out and like what we want to do, and I think it's really cool.
So what side of hunting are you getting into? Because you mentioned you like coon hunting.
Yeah.
with the
So
22.
okay. So really, I grew up, and I didn't hunt at all. My dad, like, not really into guns. You know, I
Same.
think he had a bad experience with guns, and
Really?
so yeah, and so I don't know what that is. That's a really sketchy way to say that. I don't know if he almost got shot or if just like he's scared of guns. I don't know, but
Or I mean, it could always be like you had a neighbor that had a hunting accident, and
Exactly.
you're just like
Yeah.
messed up about that.
so
still.
he just didn't really like guns, and I always grew up kind of not thinking they're bad, but just like they weren't for me, you know. But my brother is like redneck, like hillbilly. So when he turned 18, he took off diesel trucks, guns, bows, all that stuff. And so when I moved back to Lafayette, really just like almost a year ago, I really like reconnected with him because when he took off at 18, I was 10. So like there's just such a huge
That's a
age
gap.
difference. But now we both have kids, we're both married. It's just like we're the same a lot more now. And so last year he said, "Yo, you have to go coon hunting." And so I didn't even know what that was. Figured out that's raccoon hunting, and so he
You didn't
told-
read like Where the Red Fern Grows as a kid or anything
no,
like that?
well, I don't think so. No, I went to private school too, so we read like really weird stuff.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, like that. A lot of like C.S. Lewis, and actually the school I went to, I don't know if you came from. They don't know what we're talking about, but there's a school at the edge of this road up here. That's actually the school I went to.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we read like C.S. Lewis and stuff, which was cool, but I went to like a Christian school, so it was very much like religious and anthropology type of like diving into stuff, and
Symbolism and
yes,
yeah.
and so which is awesome because becoming a songwriter, that actually is like it actually really worked for me.
It's true.
But I was like, I don't know about Davy Crockett, and I'm a little pissed I don't know about Davy Crockett. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, but my brother was like, buy a 22, and so he helped me get a 22 and took me out into the middle of the woods at night, right? And his buddy rolls up with these coonhounds, and I was like, okay, this is already badass, really, because I love dogs. It's like, so I don't know even what they're here for, because I really did not know what I was getting into. All of a sudden, he puts these like GPS trackers on their like collars and just lets them go, and they just take off into the woods.
Yep.
And we just stand there. You know, I had seen stuff about hunting, and I thought you have to be quiet and like you have to like wait for it, but that's not coon hunting.
Not coon
You
hunting.
can just like shoot the breeze with your buddies until a dog trees. And what treeing is, for anyone that doesn't know, because I didn't, is they chase a raccoon through the woods into a tree, and then they basically like put their front legs up on a tree and just start like howling at them. And I think it's partly to scare the raccoon, and then partly to just let their train, like their owner, know, hey, I've got something. And so then you rush through the woods, and they might be like a mile or two away. And you rush through the woods, and start shooting into the air, which sounds actually super stupid when I say it out loud right now because we're just shooting up. But I got into that, and the first time we went, it was actually very much like today is. It was cold, it was rainy, and it was like 2 a.m. and we were about to call it a night because we could not see anything. Sometimes the rain and it kind of like forces them into hiding, so they're not out as much. And right before we left, a dog trees, and we go get it, and dude, I mean, just the rush of like finding it, falling to the ground, the dog finishes it off. Like, I will say, for people who would like to hunt for like sustenance, there's nothing really to coon hunting. It's very much like a hobby sport. But that got me really interested in hunting and just all of it. So this year, I got a bow and a couple, like a shotgun and a rifle. And so now I'm really just trying to take it all in and just see what that's like for the first time. And being in Indiana, in Lafayette, it's a bigger town, but it's very rural at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of everybody hunts. And so it's been cool getting to just learn from everybody. Here's the places to go. Here's how you do it. Go this time of year, this time of day. And so, yeah, it's all, I was telling you earlier, I'm kind of an addictive personality. And so I'm just all in.
Yeah.
Like, I have Cabela's ads on laying on my bed right now because it's just like it's all I think about.
Yeah, man. So are you then gonna transition into some big game? And
That's
start
my
going after deer?
goal. So definitely want to do deer this year. Definitely going to do coon this year just because I really enjoy it. It's just so fun, and it's kind of a low stress hunt. You know, you don't have to really learn a lot. You just it's kind of just good time.
Yeah, the dogs really do the work.
Basically, yeah. If you can just kind of figure out how to aim, you've got it down. And so, yeah, I definitely want to do deer. I would love, and I want to do bow really bad. I think guns are awesome now, but I just think I don't know the word, just almost the wholesomeness of bow, where it's like it feels a little even.
Yeah, there's a fair chase kind of thing.
Yeah.
So bow's the way I'm gonna do it. I'm actually kind of pissed off because I should have brought my bow and we could have shot.
That'd have been awesome. Yeah.
So we'll have to do that.
Yeah.
Is there a range here? Because I couldn't find one.
I don't really know.
I don't think there is anything.
I don't think there's much anything. I mean, you can just come over and we can do it in the backyard too.
Yeah,
because that's
100%.
basically what I've been practicing on.
Right.
But it's I haven't seen much. I know there's a couple clubs specifically to go, like you could do skeet and stuff like gun, but I haven't really. Actually, there is a place called Gino's in town. It's an indoor range.
Oh yeah. You know what? I looked at that place, but my only beef was that it looked like you have like a max of like 30 yards, and that's like all you're gonna get.
That is
pretty small.
pretty true.
Yeah, I tend to avoid the indoor ones just because the range is so small.
Yeah.
That you're like, and I mean, it's good, like get your reps in at 30 yards, but you can
Right.
do that just as easily in your yard as anywhere
100%.
else, as opposed
Although
to.
I learned the hard way about there's a term for it, but like when you miss your target and your bow or your arrow takes off.
Oh, did you,
not
like,
the hard
shoot
way as in
over,
like
or-
I hit the ground, and because I literally got a bow like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Someone was selling it real cheap, and my brother was like, you should go do it. So I got it. And that day I go get the target. I'm like super, super into it. And the first shot I take, I didn't realize like I need to sight it in for me and all this stuff. So I just completely hit the ground, and the bow takes off into the woods. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's
the arrow takes off?
I'm sorry, the arrow takes off into the woods. And I didn't realize like the arrows skip when you miss, like they hit the ground.
They can. Or I've had ones that go so far into the ground, if the ground's soft, that you'll never get it. You're gonna have to dig it out if you want it back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that could have happened too.
That might have happened because I lost two. One I saw skip.
Yeah.
The other I was like, I have no idea where the heck you went.
Yeah, I mean, there's like how what's the draw weight on your bow?
50.
Yeah, I mean, it's going. That's like easily probably like 200 feet per second. I mean, it's
Cool.
It's gone.
Yeah.
You know.
So learn to aim, basically. That's
Yeah,
my,
you'll
that's
sight,
my
I mean, really
lesson.
just sight it in,
Yeah.
yeah, for you, which is good to do at like an indoor place, because
Yeah.
once you have that 20 pin sighted in, you can just start working on the rest of the pins.
Yes, which
and-
is exactly where I am.
Yeah.
I took it there. They helped. Not to like plug them. They were super great, and so they they would do a couple things, take me in there, and just the change immediately.
Yeah.
He was telling me like where it needs to touch, and
Mhm.
and it was awesome.
Yeah, man, I like the bow. Like I've gotten really into it, and I can't. So wait, hang on. I gotta clear one thing up
Yeah,
first, but
yeah,
then we
yeah.
should talk about why bows,
Yeah.
because I want to talk about it. But when you first went out coon hunting, your brother hadn't made you do any hunter safety or anything like that.
Okay, I did.
You did.
I did do that.
Well, that's good.
Yes. So I had done that.
I don't think they'll prosecute you for not doing it. by
No,
the
no, no.
way, but
I
it's
actually
good to
did do that.
Okay.
Because he was like, you have to get your license.
You have to
get your license.
Yeah.
But even that, like, so I took that like online course.
Mhm.
It's important for everyone to take it, but I don't feel like I learned a whole lot
Really?
that I didn't just like kind of know.
Maybe you already knew, yeah, pieces
About
of
the
it for
bow
sure.
stuff though, that section, the archery section, 100% didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
And that was worth it. But I feel like they spent so much time talking about like what to wear, which I get, I respect, but like what to wear and kind of it's important for everyone, but I feel like I understood the natural rules of
Sure.
like, okay, if I'm walking beside someone and they're here, don't aim my rifle there while I'm
Yeah.
walking.
So I took the online course too, but there's
Yeah.
two that there's the gun hunting one basically that
Yeah.
covers like a little bit of archery.
Yeah.
But it's like the primary one, and it is like 90% just gun safety.
That's the one I took.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other, if you get into it, they also have a bow hunters course, which I think you can add on for like really cheap if you already bought the hunting one.
Yeah, I should do that.
And that one, like you have to do that one if you're gonna hunt in, I think it's like Montana and Alaska and one other state.
Yes.
You have to have that one if you're gonna go bow hunting. That one was way more like bow information, which was pretty useful.
Yeah.
But I
see,
mean, at
maybe
the
I
end of
should
the
do that.
day, like what I've learned from is like fucking watching Meat Eater. It's not from, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so into Meat Eater and like Buck Commander and stuff like that. And
That's where to go. And I mean, YouTube is
Yes.
like where to go.
dude,
And
YouTube for everything.
that's all just like, it's all mostly safety stuff, but they're also like right about a lot of it. And there's a lot of that info that if you actually like listen to it, that could 100% save your life. And
100%.
Yeah.
There are things that came up in that course that I never would have thought of that.
Mhm.
I never thought about being in trouble out in a field
Yeah.
or something. And like, I never thought about even, I knew because I had seen it so many times, especially like watching Meat Eater, Buck Commander, stuff
Sure.
like that. Like all of the decent angles to shoot are kind of from that side, right?
Mhm.
But I had never thought about the cons of shooting a deer from other angles.
Right.
So for instance, if it's right on, like you don't want to shoot it like right in the head, you know what I mean? But like you could injure the animal
Right.
and not kill it.
Yeah.
And though I realize I fully just admitted to like coon hunting for the hell of it, I also like don't want to be the guy that just goes out, shoots something, does a terrible job, and it runs away injured,
Right.
dies a slow death. Like that doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense to
I
me.
don't know much about raccoon hunting, but I imagine there's some conservation elements to that too, because I'm certain they're overpopulated and there's a reason
Yes.
that you got.
And there's a season for it. So
Right.
like it's acknowledged.
For sure.
And so I think I'll probably like, I don't know. I don't really know. I definitely want to go, but there is a part of me. I posted it last year and someone said, like, what do you do with it after you kill it? And that person didn't appreciate that I was doing it. And I honestly was like, I'm going to try to make some hats for my kids. Honestly, like, but
Right, it's about pelts, but
yes,
can you do you eat them at all?
I have not.
Yeah. Does
I've
your
had
brother?
squirrel. I think he's done it a little bit. But I've had like squirrel and stuff, which to me is the same as coon in a way. It's like, yeah,
It depends where they live and what they're eating.
yes,
Because you don't necessarily want to eat the raccoon that's living off of neighborhood trash.
100%. And I
That's
don't think
messed
where
up.
we have gone, I don't. So any coons I've shot out back probably are living off of somewhat of trash.
Yeah.
But I've only shot, so I shot 2 out back. And one, the only reason I shot it, I wasn't going to, but it was like messed up. Something was wrong with it. And it was coming really close to my house in the middle of the day. It was limping. And I was like, dude, my kids, all they do is play outside.
Right.
So I was like, my
Might have some
6-year-old's gonna
rabies
get
stuff, might
attacked by a
have.
raccoon,
Yeah.
and so I shot that one purely because I think I just didn't trust it,
Sure.
you know. But where we've gone is pretty deep into the woods,
Mm.
and so I'm assuming those are very just like natural living coons. But I honestly just want to make some hats for my
Probably.
kids.
Yeah.
I just want to impress
Well,
them.
making the well, man, but when you get into it for the meat too, it's like a totally different thing. And
So I'm really excited for deer.
yeah,
For that.
yeah,
I've had it before growing up because again I grew up here, so like you have snack day at school and people would bring deer meat.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's just where we are.
Venison jerky. And
Yes,
you're like,
and it's so good.
it's so good.
My wife hates it. She said it tastes like blood, but I'm like I think
That's crazy. It tastes so good.
it's so good.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to maybe have like a trophy on the wall. Like that'll be
Sure.
That'd be pretty dope.
The
It's very like manly to me. Like
for sure. And there's always a story there, and there's something. Yeah.
Yes.
The meat is the main reason I got into it because I really like I'm obsessed with food and cooking, and for a long time Andrew and I have been working on like improving our meat.
Yeah.
And now we're like eating organ meats, which is a new thing, and making sure like where the cows come from. We started buying all our meat from this place called Force of Nature, which is like it's like a regenerative farm, but they also mix the organ meat into the ground, and it's really good.
That's cool.
And so now we get all of our meat like shipped to us, which is
cool.
kind of hard to do in the RV. But now that we got the deep freezer, we can like send a bunch all at once.
And you say organ meat,
as
in like
liver,
organs.
heart, kidneys.
What's that like? How's that? My brother-in-law and sister-in-law, are kind of into that.
Well, we started getting into the carnivore diet thing.
Okay.
These poor people on this podcast. I've talked about this in so many episodes, but screw you guys. You gotta listen again. We started getting into carnivore diet, which you want to integrate in organ meats because there's a lot of different vitamins and nutrients that you get from those organs. That we weren't eating at all, any of. We mostly just eat muscle meat. And so the nice thing is like when you get it ground, you're getting like maybe it's like 90% muscle meat and 10% organ meat. So they're gonna mix. I think they mix heart and liver in this ground that we get. And so that's where like a ton of your nutrients are coming from. But we also started like buying beef liver and just eating that. And I didn't grow up eating beef liver, so it's taken a little getting used to. But it's like a steak that sort of tastes a lot bloodier, and so it takes some getting used to. It's a process. But like with the deer, what I'm excited about is that there's going to be a lot of ground that I get from that deer, but I'll take probably parts of the liver and the heart and put them right in the ground, and
that's great.
Pretty fun
doing it yourself. Like
I'm real excited about it.
That's really cool.
That's what got me mostly into it. And the bow, man, is like it's its own thing. But like the more I started learning about, so not only you're right, there's not only is there more like fair chase to using a bow, because like you really got to get a lot closer. And there's a lot less.
There's like there's more of an art to it, in my opinion.
Sure.
Like,
and there's there's like far less opportunities for an ethical shot, which means if you're only taking ethical shots, it's going to be a narrower window to get it done.
Yeah, and you earned it too.
Yeah.
Like there's just a part of me that goes, I have deer. We have crabapple trees right here. There are deer in my yard every single night. So when that season hits, I can walk out and boom, they won't know. It just feels like that doesn't feel enticing to me.
Right.
What feels enticing is like man and nature.
Mm-hmm.
Like not like just being able to fairly go at it and like.
And it's like strange because you could like I've shot recurve and compound.
Yeah.
And you could like make yourself shoot recurve out there and stuff. Yeah. But even the compound to me feels like a gun. Having shot recurve my whole life is like, okay, I put the dot there and then I squeeze the trigger and then it's
and crossbow is 100%.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty
like it's cool, but it's
there's
like that's
levels.
A gun.
There's levels, but also just learning about like how it actually kills the animal too is different, because like a gun is a lot more like trauma into their, and it's still going to be an ethical shot. But it's more trauma into the vitals, where the arrow, like because it's razored and making like a hole right through the lungs or through the heart, you're talking about seconds here, and it's mostly not felt. Like I've seen videos of people hunting deer, and I don't know this, but to me it really looks like the deer, when they get hit, they seem to take off more from the fear of the sound of the string than from any pain they're experiencing. Because usually they settle down almost pretty quickly, and then they're like, oh, and then they pretty much pass out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's I like it. I'm into that idea. I like animals.
I totally get it. It is a very new fascination, but it's a deep one. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's awesome.
You'll have a lot of fun with it.
I'm excited to see what you guys do.
Man, we'll let you know.
Yeah,
we're doing we're gonna do like Andrea's doing a docuseries about this. She did a documentary about our first year on the road. It turned out amazing, and she's gonna do a new series about hunting.
I gotta watch those. That's great.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be good.
That's very cool.
This isn't what I thought we'd end up talking about today, but it's so Midwest, right?
Yeah, like I'm super pumped. I want to talk about this the whole time. So
yeah,
this is great.
No, it's good, man. It's good. Yeah, we should shoot both.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about music.
Yeah, man.
That's what I came here for.
Yeah, what you want to know?
You're making it happen. You're living the dream.
I'm trying. Yeah.
So like, okay, so I got to check out some of your songs, which I loved. Your video, "We Should
Thank
Be
you.
Together,"
Thank you.
hilarious.
Thank you so
Like
much.
honestly, I
That's at a
watched.
bar in town, just so you know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I assumed it's got to be all local with you. You
Yeah.
know, I watched like the first half, and then I had to go do something else. Then I came back like last night, and I watched the whole thing through, and I had missed the punchline the first time,
Yeah.
and I was so disappointed. I was like, oh, now I get it.
Yes. Yep.
Like,
No, it was basically a whole setup of like, I just wanted a truck.
yeah.
That's really all it was. And it's like, it's a super flirty video, which was weird because I didn't really, like, I'm married. Like,
Well, that was kind of what I thought. I was like, is he gonna end up macking with this chick at the end of this
dude,
video?
well, and
Because
that's
this is a
the
little
kind of the goal was that is to like make people think that.
to make us think it.
To be like, but like, even like my mom, she said the first time she watched it, she was like, you left your ring on. Like she hadn't watched the whole thing all the way.
Oh,
She was
yeah.
like, you didn't pay attention to the details.
That's so funny.
And then at the end of it, you just realize I'm just trying to steal the truck because it's a badass truck.
Yeah.
So
It is a
yeah.
badass truck.
Yeah. So dude, thank you for the kind words.
Of course,
That's
man.
awesome, man.
Yeah, no, I really liked it, and I liked your other songs that you had going on. It's all, and you got Midwest AF and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah. So like, are you working on new stuff now? Like, are you have an album working?
100%. Yeah. So this fall, I plan to release 3 songs, I think. So I've got 2 of them like in the works, written, recorded type of thing. One of them is about coon hunting.
Nice.
And so it's very on brand. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. You know, I put this album out. I grew up in the Christian world. Like my whole life has been in the Christian world. And so I did Christian music. I traveled with Christian bands, and I still like love that and support that. I am a person of faith, so like I'm cool with all that. But like country music just like kept calling to me. Like I loved it. I actually grew up like not hating it, but not liking country music. Mostly because my dad didn't like country music. My mom and my sister loved it, but my dad was like, "That crap, just turn it off." You know, I grew up on like Guns N' Roses and Metallica,
Okay.
and so as I've tried to mature as a songwriter, though, you can't find better songwriting in my opinion than country music. It's stories. It's about life. It's less than, it's less about going out to a club, which like is some people's life. So I'm not crapping on that at all, but it's just about like family and hunting and just like farmers and things that just feel very like close to my heart. And so as I've kind of been diving into being a better songwriter, there just wasn't any more of there wasn't a better place to go than country music.
Mhm.
And being from where I'm from, it's like that's all that people listen to around here.
Right.
And so, yeah, I've got a couple songs coming out, and the album I put out was really just to say I'm a country artist. I didn't expect it to do anything. It didn't really. Like it's not discouraging. Lots of people have listened to it and great feedback, and I think people have discovered me that wouldn't have known me previous to that, which was the whole point. But I really just put that album out to be like, hey, I can say I'm a country artist, and I actually am. You can go look at my stuff. And so now with this next music, I'm trying to take it up like a whole nother level, and really go into summer of 2022, like with a game plan, trying to tour and just blow people away with live music. So,
Nice.
yeah,
That's awesome, man.
yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah, I mean, country is one of those things where you're right. I mean, I get disappointed because I feel like songwriting doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to older music and I'm like, that's a fucking lyric.
Yes.
Like that's a lyric.
It's
like,
you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Even modern country is a lot less than what it used to be.
right. But I feel like it's all, I mean, so much music now, like so much pop music now to me feels like a big, like, it's like I'm big and bad. It's like all ego driven stuff. And you don't really have to like prove anything to actually start saying that you are big and bad.
No.
You just have to say it louder than the next person.
I-
And like, but like country
Yes.
music has always been, there's also like an identity issue with country music. I feel like where it's like a lot of people trying to convince you that they are country.
Yes.
And then you look at their background and their story and you're like, nah,
Yes.
man, you're just like it's a fake accent you got. And
Yep.
you're just,
When that was my fear, I talked to my wife about this so much last year going up to release an album. Because especially when I almost wouldn't call myself country now, like my life. But I'm a hell of a lot more country now than I ever have been. And when I completely agree. You look at a lot of these guys in the like country genre or girls, but it's really a guy thing too. Like, you like country music, but you kind of look at their life and you're like, where does that come from in you?
Right.
But what I realized, because I agree with you, I fully agree with you. But what I realized is, country sure is partially a lifestyle, or a genre, if you will. But I think country has been able to open up to a little less. You have some of the old like badass country singers that are like men. Like you don't mess with them. Like they will rip your face off type of thing.
Yeah, like
And
sort of outlaw
exactly,
country kind of
outlaw
stuff.
country. If you met them in a bar, like you actually are going to get hurt type of thing.
Sure.
But I feel like it's been able to open up to be a little less about the like i.e. country things, hunting and things like that. And it's opened up a little more to like a lifestyle of like country's decently wholesome. And I feel like if you look where pop has gone, is not at all. And so I feel like a lot of people who may be pop writers, for instance, there's a guy named Kane Brown. I don't know if you know who that is. His music is it's like crossover. So he's actually got this real natural, like deep country twang, but it's over like hip hop beats all the time. And a lot of like purists are like, dude, that ain't freaking country, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at him, he's got a wife, a beautiful like baby girl, like living like that life, seems like a very faithful like friend. And to me, that's what I feel like country music is becoming a little more, because people like me, I wouldn't fit in the pop world. I don't think I'm big and bad, at all. I think I'm the opposite. I think I'm kind of soft and I love my family, And so I think I understand people's beef, if you will, with like, this isn't real country music. But I also remember that there was a time where, do you know what the Opry is? Like Grand Ole Opry
Sure.
in Nashville. Drums weren't allowed on that stage.
Oh, really?
So back then, drums would have not been country.
Right.
So it's just kind of that natural evolution of, do I miss all of the guitars that used to be in like real country music? Yes. I wish it sounded a lot more like Johnny Cash than hip hop. But it's also just kind of that natural evolution, in my opinion, of it's more about like who you are as a person,
Yeah. Well, I think you've got something too with like, I don't know, just sort of the embrace the Midwest thing. If your vibe is wholesome, because I think that other parts of country music can become a different extreme to like hip hop, to where it's like intensely, it's like overly patriotic, it's like overly right wing, it's like
yes,
writing songs about like, like writing pro-life songs where it's like, this feels odd in a song.
Yes.
It's just like I feel like you've got the idea of like, all right, that's also not
me.
you.
So
that's not where country should be.
I think moderation with all things.
Yeah, not radical, right?
There's definitely some country artists that I'm like, I just don't vibe with you, because like that's not what I'm about, Yeah, I'm a pretty moderate person just in general. If you look at, let's not to take it straight into politics, but like a lot of people I feel like think you're a Democrat, you're a Republican. You know what I mean? I very much am like, I'm like the middle. You know what I mean? I'm like, I fully see real things from both sides. I am very much like take care of your own, but I'm also like make positive change. I'm like, leave me alone a little bit, but I'm also like, I want to help everybody, and so trying to find that way. And country music's the same. I very much enjoy mainstream country. I'm not super into like the super right wing, and I'm also not super into like the indie country where it's like very out there.
Sure, psychedelic.
Yes, which is cool. And the beautiful thing about music is like everyone has something.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you are a super right wing Trump flag person, then like awesome, there's some music for you. You know what I mean? And if you're like super into country music, but like also super into weed, you have Casey Musgraves. You know what I mean? Like you've got someone for you. So that's kind of the beauty of music.
But you're here to tell like your story, and country is 100%. Like that avenue where you can actually still sort of tell a story.
I've always found it funny in pop music. It's funny you mentioned it, that it's like that big bad prove myself. Mm-hmm. But what's so funny to me is the music is that way, but then you see the people, and they're not big and bad by any means, and they're wearing like super weird clothes and like these like little like girly sunglasses, but they just put out a song about like shooting people up, and I'm just like, this is what a dichotomy. Like it doesn't make any sense to me.
That's the history. I mean, there's like history of hip hop there, which is like there was a time where if you you know, you had to actually come from legitimate adversity and make it out of Compton and then
Oh, for
become a
sure.
hip hop artist. It's not really how it works anymore. It's all this
No, now
brand.
it's TikTok.
Right.
Like it's yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree. Even and same with country.
Yeah.
You know, you look at like a Johnny Cash and look at their life, and even like a Willie Nelson and all these things. And now it's like if you got a really good YouTube video, like here you go, here's your platform.
It's strange.
It's very odd.
It's strange, but it's important to like, I mean, regardless of anything that you do, like the question is, do you want to, and like, it'll happen to you too. It'll happen to me. It'll happen to all of us who
Yeah.
want to create things, which is like, all right, here's the money if you embrace this brand and it's
Yes.
not you. Are you going
I-
to do it or not? And
yes.
we'll all face it at some point, you
Yes.
know? That's just up to each person if they're going to be like, nah, you know what? I'm me. There's actually like, okay, so I love the band Rush. My dad was a
Oh,
big
yeah.
Rush fan, so I
Yeah.
grew up on that. And when I look at like their history, their documentaries and things, when they were like really struggling with their record label, they were going to get dropped, all these different things. They knew that they could write music that was going to be more, you know, popular.
Right.
And instead, they came out with the album 2112,
Yes.
which is it. Like if you know the history of that album, it was based on complete like anti-collectivist statements. It was
Yeah.
based on Ayn Rand's work. It was based on like a lot of
Yeah.
really like against the machine type stuff.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And it was long ballads, and
Yes.
people were like, "Yep, this is it."
Yep.
And so they really said like, "Screw the deals,
Yeah.
screw the labels,
And it
we're doing
works.
this," and it worked.
It's because people want authentic. Man.
It's true.
People are tired of. They've always been tired of it. Of like the machine. You know. To take it back to country for a minute. There's a guy right now. I would say probably the biggest artist in country music. His name is Luke Combs. He looks like me. He's not built and like super cut 6-pack taking off his shirt. He wears a Columbia PFG shirt and camo hat every day. And like he's the biggest thing because I think people have finally bought into like he's singing about like real life. Like he's himself. He's not going to, and I think going to the gym's a great thing. Like I should probably do it more, but he's just not like he's not so focused on his appearance as much of like appearing as himself.
Right.
And people love that. Man.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
Yeah.
I hate the manicured perfect artist.
Yeah. And as people, it's funny to me that trend of like, as people get more successful, they seem to get like healthier and prettier and all these different
Yes,
things.
because they can become themselves.
Right.
Yes.
Do you watch It's Always Sunny at all? You know that show?
No, I've actually never seen it.
Oh man.
Is it worth watching?
Oh, yeah.
My wife
Hell
and I are
yeah.
looking for shows right now, and I'm like, everyone talks about this show.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing about that show is like it's all character, so
Yeah.
you have to you have to give it time because they have to build like a depth of a
Develop,
character
yeah.
to really make it work because it's not plot, it's all character.
Yeah.
But the creator of that show, Rob McElhenney, his whole thing was they got to like, I forget which season it was, it must have been like 6 or 7, somewhere around there. And the show was starting to become successful. He was becoming successful, and he was like, what I'm gonna do is the opposite of what most people do. I'm not gonna get prettier. And he gained like 50 plus pounds in a few months so that he could
Nice.
just look like the worst he's ever looked for this TV
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
And it was like part of the character. But then he reversed it and got in insanely good shape
Oh,
for
yeah.
like the next season.
Yeah.
And so it's been a whole thing.
That's
but
awesome.
Yeah, you gotta watch.
I love
show,
that. Yeah,
man.
we'll check
it's
it out.
so funny.
That sounds funny.
But yeah, but again, it's just like because doors are opening to you, you're like, oh, all of a sudden I'm gonna, get the 6-pack, and all of a sudden I can,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I mean, who knows what like medical treatment the elite have access to that we
Dude,
don't? you know?
So to get vulnerable here for a minute, if you're cool with that,
Go
like,
vulnerable.
As I've tried to become an artist, I've had those like down days where I'm like, this isn't gonna work for me because I don't look like X, Y, and Z. And I I talked to my wife about it, and it just like she constantly reminds me, and so freaking thankful for her, that like I don't want to become successful as a front of
Right.
myself, because then I have to keep that up. And
Mhm.
it's like, God, that'd be so tiring. Like we could we could really take a twist on this, and I could talk about like all of my time in like the religious part of the world, and how like I'm fine with saying, if you're okay with me to talk about religion.
Okay,
But
sure.
like I'm a man of faith, like Bible believing, but I was a pastor before. I was all of these things. I went to a Christian college. I like all of the things. And And I am just now in a time of my life where I actually feel like myself for the first time, where I can mix being a man of faith, but also saying, damn, because like I say that in my life. And I just had this whole front up all the time, whereas like I was actually doing a disservice to my faith by constantly lying about who I was,
Right.
you know? And
Right.
so
You were making yourself a hypocrite.
exactly. And I truly believe this. And I've made tons of decisions that I'm not proud of and I wish I could change, you know, but I truly believe that like I'm a better version of myself and a version of myself that I believe God would be more proud of, that like I'm honest. Because if I believe what I believe, then like he kind of wants me as I am, not as a fake version of myself, you know? And so that's just what I believe people are drawn to naturally. Not even from a religious place. Like it doesn't have to get that deep. Just like people just want to know like the real you. People can sniff out fake. Like people who it's just a natural thing. You can tell someone that's just like not legitimate.
Yeah.
And so I think culture in some ways is moving towards that more, with people like, if you will, like millennials and all those people like having more of a voice, like choosing to have more of a voice and be like, no, we want what we want. Like we're not going to buy into all the fake crap anymore, you know? And so hopefully that works.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Me too.
I go back and forth some days as to whether it's getting better or getting worse.
Listen, in a lot of ways, a lot of things are getting worse. So it's hard, you know. It kind of depends on what you look at. And
Yeah.
also just kind of depends on the kind of outlook you have on life.
Well, if
you
it's
know?
raining out, I'm gonna believe that everything's going to shit.
Yeah, it's a terrible day.
But if
today.
it's sunny out,
tomorrow,
I'm like, this is gonna be great.
No, I am so affected by the weather too. I totally get it, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
No doubt. But yeah, I mean, I like that. So the music that you're working on, it's gonna be staying you, just being you,
Yeah.
not the front.
No.
And I mean, not only does it, you're right. I mean, it's like, it's not going to work anyway. Like people are going to feel it.
Yeah.
It'll always catch up to you, or you'll go fucking nuts like a lot of artists do.
100%. I've been so worried about like seeming fake because I'm not like super country, but like I'm really just writing music about myself. And if people like it, great. If not, like there's tons of other artists. Go have fun with them.
Right.
You know, we'll see what happens, you know,
Yeah.
But I'll be proud.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can't start being proud and you have to have success to be proud, then like you're screwed already.
Right.
Like you're gonna, even if I became a massive artist, I'm gonna have so much crap thrown at me. Like if you can't be proud of who you are as a small person, like you're kind of damned as a big person.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. So like Andrea's documentary is like a good example in our lives where we put this thing out and the expectation, we were real careful about it, was like family and friends are going to watch this and really enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's it. And then the really nice thing is when it does hit, and her documentary hit and took off and did insanely well. And then we were like, oh wow. But that product was still something we were proud to share with family and friends.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Exactly.
And so yeah, I have things like that too. Like, you know, episodes of this podcast some of them will just do insanely well, and I'm like, that's crazy. But at the end of the day, it was just like my show. Right. I did what I wanted to do. I had the conversation I wanted to have. There's nobody telling me what I have to talk about or not talk about. So, or who I have to have on or not have on. Yes. So it's always better to like own your own stuff.
Yeah, man. You can be, you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
You can be proud of it. And like, at the end of the day, like it's about how you sleep at night. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it's the same, like if someone wrongs you, you know what I mean? It's the same thing as like, if you let go, you get to sleep well. It doesn't matter what they feel right now, you know? And so if you can just be proud of what you do, then like you'll enjoy your life a hell of a lot more.
Yeah. It's the old hate poisons the vessel thing, right?
Yeah.
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 It's interesting. Should we have an interlude here? Would you play a song for us?
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to.
Let's interlude it.
Can I move this?
For sure.
All right, cool.
Yeah, do what you need to do. Get comfy.
Let's see if you can hear me.
Figure we could lace a song or two in the middle.
Yeah, man. Can you hear that?
I think so. I can always boost this part too.
All right, I will sing that We Should Be Together song.
Nice.
It was a Friday night, I was out with the boys. I was doing just fine. I couldn't want more. Had $100 bill and a drink in my hand. Just got paid and I'm ready to spend. And you came with that come get me smile. I knew right then that it was gonna be a while. So I went home, I was sticking right here. Cause I couldn't leave until it was clear that you and me, we should be together. Like whiskey and coke, or Harley and leather. And we could be the best duo ever. Give me a shot, oh ain't nothing better. Like John D. Green and some yellow letters. The last thing I wanna do is upset you, but you gotta know that it really shows that you and me, we should be together, yeah. So I waited my turn, then I cut right in. So baby, what's the chance that you got a boyfriend? I don't wanna push or be too forward, but I really feel like I've gotta warn ya. You and me, we should be together. Like whiskey and coke, or Harley and leather. And we could be the best duo ever. Give me a shot, oh ain't nothing better. Like John D. Green and some yellow letters. The last thing I wanna do is upset you, but you gotta know that it really shows that you and me, we should be together.
All right.
Thank you.
Man, I love that song.
Thank you so much.
That's so fun, dude.
Thank you. That was like the second or third country song I ever wrote. So I just tried it out, and I was like, what are things people sing about? I'm like, whiskey, for sure.
For sure.
Trucks, bars.
Harleys.
Things like that. Harleys.
Yeah.
And so
John Deere.
just came out.
Got it all in there, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome
That's
stuff,
awesome.
man.
Thanks,
Yeah. Oh, man. And what kind of truck is that at the end? The nice teal.
Dude, okay. So it's a Ford. I might be totally wrong here, but I want to say it's like a 67 or like a 72. And I have no idea what.
That's someone's around here that they've kept up.
Yeah, actually over like in West Lafayette. Her name is Lindsay. She's super, super kind to let me use it. My brother had the hook up there, and so she just. It was actually my. This is super embarrassing, but it did make me more of a man. It was my first time really driving a stick, and so I had to like learn on the set of a music video. And the poor people downtown where we were shooting it. I would like hit a corner and I would like slip a little bit and it would like growl at me a little bit, and like these people were just outside trying to have dinner and I'm like just squealing by.
You're like
trying to
cranking
like,
through the gears.
and I had to go over and over because the music video we had to take the shot like 12 times.
Yeah.
And so these people are on the corner at this really nice restaurant, and then this truck that's like, it's old and kind of like, it's really nice but like also like naturally old and kind of rickety. So I would just like growl by them, and they just, by the fourth time they were pretty mad.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
We used to do that kind of thing. Before we were making what we make now, Andrew and I would make like dance films, and it was like kind of a similar thing.
Yeah.
And like working like, but it's always like coordinating with other people. It's like, we got to coordinate with this bar to be able to use the bar. We got to get this location. We got to hope people aren't walking through. We got to hope the weather's perfect.
100%. Yeah. And the guy that did that video, his name's Brett Varvel. He's like a genius with film. He's an actor too, and he's like starting to get in some like pretty serious films, and but he just like, he was a perfect person to work with because he's real calm, like not high stress, real nice. But he really helped me realize the like necessity of over and over and over. I am the kind of guy that was like, that looked pretty good, like let's move forward, you know?
Right.
And he was great at like teaching me like, no, because what you don't realize is there might be someone's left foot in this, and we can't just like cut that out.
Right.
And so it was really interesting. It was my first music video ever. So it was a really cool, like, you dream of that day as a little kid. You're like, I'm gonna have a freaking music video, you know, and then you do it.
No, it came out great, man. I love it. It's super professional. It's really cool.
Thank you so much.
And like the lighting and everything was great. Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my question about music videos, because I always wondered this.
What's up?
When you have that mix between like the storyline and then you playing the guitar in the bar.
Yes.
My guess is that you performed the entire song with the guitar in the bar, because you don't necessarily know when you're going to cut that in.
When it's going to cut in.
Yeah.
Because that's like, well, you do video work and stuff, so it's like, it's not necessarily B-roll, but you kind of like, it can be treated as B-roll because your storyline is your main part of the video.
Right.
And then that's just kind of your B-roll to like throw in there.
Mhm.
I played the song. This might be an exaggerated number, but probably not by much. We probably shot me singing the song 15 times.
Yeah.
And so that's like, I mean, it's like a 3-minute song. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like we're like an hour and a half probably, because they would do like 3 at this angle, 3 at this angle, 1 under, 1 at top.
Yeah.
And between each thing, you have to reset. They like hazed the room a little bit. You know, people would want to walk in the bar. We'd have to like get them in, take them, you know. So the bar was shut down, but you have no idea. It was a 2-day shoot, I believe. Yeah, it was a 2-day shoot. So it was like, it was a pretty like serious thing,
Yeah.
especially my first one.
Yeah.
I'm used to sitting in front of my own camera, like making a YouTube video or something.
Sure.
And then it was like pretty in depth, but it was so like freaking fun.
Yeah.
It was everything I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
It's
awesome.
if you're working with the right people, it can be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, and I've known this dude for years, working with like different artists and stuff, and he just like, you can't like, I just don't think there's better around here. Like he's just so talented. He does movies, and yeah, it's really cool.
That's good, man. The whole landscape of music has changed because it's like the song is nothing without the video now.
Bro.
You have to have it.
Yes, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. I almost don't want to release a song without a music video ever again, which sucks because I can make songs on my own, like right here in the studio that we're in. Like this is my basement. I just call it studio to like feel cool, but like it's where I can make a whole song. I can mix master, like I can, or send it off to someone, but I can make a song in a week that sounds like decent, good enough. Like I want people to have put their ears on it.
Right.
But then you got it. Like it's almost a waste of your time just to put out audio right now. The world is so video driven.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, even with something like this podcast, like when I started it, it was all audio.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, I was like, I guess I should have some video component to this. And sometimes I bring the whole setup, and sometimes I just do the GoPro, you know.
Yes.
But like, I just can't believe people are watching, like, you know, an hour and a half talk.
Of people talking.
But they do.
Okay.
And I do too. You know.
I was just gonna say.
I'll watch Rogan.
I am
like,
such a natural consumer. I will tell you this. When we like first got together, right? You sent me the link, I think, to the podcast, and I listened to one of a guy in Missouri.
Jeremy Kerber.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really cool. That was a great episode.
Yeah.
But I for sure, like, I just listened to it because I had to drive to Indy that day, so it was about an hour. It was perfect. But when I really was like looking into your podcast, because I was like, who am I going to meet? Like, this is great. The first thing I did was go to YouTube.
Right.
Which is crazy to me because it's a podcast.
Yeah.
There's a whole app on my phone for that.
Yeah.
But the first thing I did was go to YouTube and see if you had it.
Yeah.
And you did.
I know. You
So
got to
it's
be
just
there.
like, it's crazy.
It is. I mean, I get it for some podcasts where you're like bringing things up on screen, and a lot of them will play clips and things like that. And that's something I'd like to do. But I just don't have, like, I'm so mobile. I got to be able to set up anywhere.
100%.
And that would be really hard to do.
Yeah.
So I just haven't done that bit yet.
Yeah.
But I probably could. Now I'm kind of thinking about it.
Yeah.
I really
When they
should.
have like those, like, they have like these devices that you can like just hit a button. It'll
I know.
as you're recording, like the live stream recording.
Right.
Like that'd be cool.
I know.
But also I love like your like mobile setup.
Well, it also has to, I mean, it's just like there's different degrees of this, right? So like when you're podcasting, the reason I started doing it was because I like having like a long one-on-one conversation with someone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm into that. As soon as there's like 4 people in a room, I'm done talking.
Yeah.
Straight up, like I seem like I could talk. I don't. If there's 4 people in a room plus, I'm
Really?
done. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I'm somewhat of the same way. I love talking. I'll talk to anybody anytime. But I don't want to say get overwhelmed, but it doesn't intrigue me to be a part of a group conversation.
I listened way too much, and I get way too distracted by everything else that's going on. If there's a
Yes.
side conversation, I'm done. I'm in this one.
Yes.
So like, so much of this is just like that we can do this, and that, you know, I don't have like funny clips to pull or something that we could be like watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really worth it. I don't discuss current events that I need to pull up articles
Right.
for or anything.
I think the layout of this podcast is a super great idea.
Well,
I think it's dope.
I'll keep it like this. then.
Yes, I think it's awesome.
I'll let everybody know you said I needed to keep it like this.
Exactly. Just tell them I did.
For sure.
They don't know who I am, but
They will, man.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man. So when you're writing songs, because you're probably in that mode, right? Do you
I am.
have the 3 written, or like you're starting?
I've got 2 written,
Mhm.
2 of the 3, and honestly, the only reason I say 3 is because I have an idea for a third, that I'm just super attached to. And one of my buddies who does music with me just sent me this lick on guitar the other day that I was like, that has to be in a freaking song. Like it is so catchy. And so I'm trying to like marry those two together. And if they can, it will be such a great song.
Yeah.
So I say 3 because like I'm pretty intent on it. I for sure have 2 that I'm like ready to go with. Yeah. I'm really pumped about it.
I want to join your band now.
Bro,
You need some backup vocals at any
let's
point?
go. Anytime. When do you head out of Lafayette?
Next week. So I'm only here till Monday.
So we can't do that. I have a show
But I'm going
town.
to Champaign. I'm not that far.
I have a show in town on the 1st.
Okay.
So I'm like, bro, you come on over. I'll give you a tambourine and do your thing.
My God, that'd be so funny.
Do you do music at all? Are you musical?
Yeah, I grew up real musical, singing. I play guitar, but
very cool.
Yeah, but not as well as you at all.
Oh, thank you.
But the thing I always loved about country music is it's the only place that like I'm clearly a bass. I sing way low.
I kind of thought you might.
Probably,
like,
right?
Got that like cool deep voice.
I keep it low. But it's like one of the only genres where you get a bass anymore. Any sort, even a baritone. I mean, because most country singers are still just like rocking a baritone.
Yes.
But it's about the only. So I'll listen for that reason alone. Like I'll enjoy a country song because I'm like, they're actually singing low for once. I can sing along.
Yeah, no, country's just so like it just feels natural. To make a weird analogy, country music. I love all music. I mean, when Christmas rolls around, you dang sure know I'm throwing on that Michael Bublé jazz album. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
I love it all. Sinatra.
Sure. I listen to a lot of like men's a cappella. The King Singers is one of my favorite.
That'd be cool.
I love those guys.
So like I love it all.
Sure.
But country to me, of the popular genres, feels like the bow hunting, where it's like it just feels like fair. It feels like natural and like there's a little bit of electronic stuff getting involved now, but like I love that. Okay, I have nothing against rap or anything. I actually love hip hop music, but
me too.
If you had like a rapper here right now, which again I love, and you were like, hey, give me a song. Well, he could probably like freestyle and like give it to you without a beat. But to give you a full thing, he's got to have like his beat, his whole thing. The thing I love about country music is like, hey, just give me a guitar. And like I can give you the whole product.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, it might not be as shined up as a product I've spent 3 months on, but like I can give you, you will know if you like the song just as much from me in a guitar or me in a full band.
Yeah.
And I just love that. It just feels natural and it's like, it feels very human.
Yeah. Yeah. There's it was my favorite things ever about playing like bluegrass music. I had a buddy that knew a lot of bluegrass music and he could just tell us what key it was in and we could just start playing.
Yep.
And that was it. That's all you need to know and you're making a song all of a sudden.
Bluegrass is dope.
Yeah, it's the best.
So much talent.
It's fun. And I always when you talk about that, you made me think of like Norah Jones. I always think of her because like her first album, I don't know if this is true, but the story I've heard is that they recorded that first album as like as a demo basically. And they were going to fully produce it with like a different band and new vocals and everything. And they just decided that it was perfect how it was.
Yep.
And so like what you're hearing was like the demo version of that.
Real.
Yeah. It was just all for real.
I love that.
And, well, she's Norah Jones, obviously.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, that's the voice. Yeah. But I do think that's cool. I think that's a nice thing about country music. You're right. Like that song was the same song I heard in your video.
Yeah.
It is. I know there's not drums there, but it's still the same song where you're right. It's hard to replicate it if your music's a lot more electronic.
Yeah. And being a smaller artist, like, I don't play with a full band. Actually, to be completely honest with you, I never play with a full band really. I want to get some bigger shows and like go a thing. But when I go, it's me and a guitar or me and a couple guitars. And it's like, if I rely on production and not the song, then you're going to be disappointed, But if I can write something where if it's just me and a guitar and you can connect with it, then like we're golden,
Right.
And that's just very much like a country music thing,
Right.
And not just country. I just, in regards to like the popular genres, that's just something I love about country music.
Yeah. It's raw. It's real.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Yeah. Big fan.
Well, now I need your recommendations too, because I don't listen to enough country.
Okay.
But I think you'd know what to recommend to me because I do want the authenticity. I don't want the person who's faking the twang.
No, I totally get it.
I don't do that.
Okay, so is it okay if I get on my phone here?
Yeah.
To like show you some of these?
Yeah, I was just checking my time also.
Okay, so I will say this. This is not a new artist, but he is 100% one of my favorite artists, a guy named Craig Morgan.
Okay.
You probably do you listen to country music really at all?
Sometimes.
There's a song called like "That's What I Love About Sundays." Like it was like early 2000s probably.
Okay. No, I'll listen. I'll listen to like more like classic rock if I want,
For sure.
or like sometimes like some good yacht rock. Like you're on a boat, put on the yacht rock and
Oh yeah.
let's
For
get
sure.
some,
I respect that.
which I know is not. It's like shades of country sometimes.
Yeah,
but
it's good though.
yeah.
So I would say there's a guy named Craig Morgan who's very just like easy to listen to. He's probably in his 50s. He's a veteran, which I just love. Like I just think it's cool that he did that, served us in that way, but also like then chased a dream of like being a country artist, you know? My favorite artist really ever is a guy named Granger Smith. And if I'm being completely honest with you, uh, he owns a clothing brand as well, which is definitely where I got some of my idea from Midwest from.
Yeah.
He owns a clothing brand called Yee Yee Apparel out of Texas, and it's like a big one. His music is very much the like modern country. There's some snap tracks in it and stuff like that, but he's just very like just very real. Loves his family, you know. It from Texas, big outdoors guy, you know. And it's like when he sings about something, you just like you believe it, you know.
Right.
You're like, okay, this is real for you.
Yeah.
And I think another one I'd go with a new guy I'm really into is named Colby Cooper, and then like Cody Johnson. Have you ever heard of Cody Johnson?
Mm-mm.
Cody Johnson was a bull rider, which like that's just badass. Like
pretty country,
yeah,
too.
that's pretty country. He was like a bull rider and ended up I don't know if he got hurt or it just like wasn't working. So they went into country music, but he's written a few songs about the rodeo that are just like I'm like in the ring, like you just feel it. He
That's
has a
cool.
song called Dear Rodeo. That's just like a love song to rodeo, and it's really cool.
That's
So
awesome.
I like everything country, honestly, but those are guys that like I keep like playing over and over.
All
in
right,
the car.
I'll check them out.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like you have to do more country things now that you are embracing country?
Okay, so
life? You're like now I got to get into coon hunting. Now I got to get
Well,
into deer hunting.
okay, if I'm being
I
honest
get a
with you,
tractor.
I think I do want a tractor.
For what?
I have no idea. I just want a tractor. I don't.
Do you
need
have
it.
land here that you guys
Not
are
really.
farming on?
Not really. I want to. So we're gonna get some goats.
Nice.
And that's more because my wife loves them, and I want to get my kids into like 4-H. I'm super like into sports. Grew up playing baseball. I grew up playing everything. And I want them, but they're like, I don't know if you've ever heard parents say like, I just want my kids to play a sport because they want them to be active. Basically, my kids are super freaking active. All they do is play on the trampoline, the swing, playing football out there, you know.
Nice.
And so if we're gonna spend like all of our time at practices and stuff, I kind of they both love like farm animals. Keegan, my oldest, like wants to be a farmer or like a vet or something. So I'm like, well, why don't we just get animals and then I'll put you in 4-H. So all that time, the extracurricular time, maybe you're actually working towards something you might do with your life.
Right.
I'm a huge sports guy. I am a big fan of kids playing sports. But I think if you catch on to something about your kid that they love, well, just like push them in it.
Mm-hmm.
So what my parents did with me in music.
Mm-hmm.
They knew from an early age I wanted to do it. So like every concert I wanted to go to and stuff, like if we could afford it or whatever, they took me.
Right.
But I want to get goats and chickens.
You got to do chickens. I
and
was going to
things like
say.
that. Yeah. So we're gonna do we're gonna get a coop and
Nice.
all that. But to answer your question, do I feel like I have to? No. But am I like becoming a little more country? Yes.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons is, you know, before living here again and all this, my life just was very like I'd said, like I had worked at churches and all these things. I just didn't really I didn't know who I was. And that's not a dig on churches. That's just like I was just kind of floating, you know. I just didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. And so my love for country music has very much developed as I have developed as an adult for the first time. And so do I feel like I have to? No. Am I? Yes, because I'm just starting to like fall in love with this lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask me, okay, you can't do country music, what's your dream job? Like money's not an issue. Like you can buy whatever you need and like you're gonna do it. I would 100% buy a farm. Like that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very like a naturally like country thing, you know.
Sure.
I'm fascinated with like that lifestyle of like the blue collar, like work hard, support your community, and so yeah, I'm definitely becoming a lot more country,
Yeah.
but I think it's mostly because I want to.
Well, I think some people seem to have all their interests figured out at such a young age.
Yeah.
Um, and then, a lot of those people end up rewriting those interests as they get older anyway.
Yeah.
But it does feel like there's always this constant pressure to like know all the things you're into. And like, I don't know, I still feel pretty young. I still have a lot of time. I'm slowly finding those things that
Yeah.
I'm getting deeper and deeper into. Like
Yeah.
for me, it's been like to get deeper into martial arts or to get into hunting
Yeah.
or into travel, which we do now. And,
Yeah.
but I mean, the idea that you'd have that all figured out like in high school is crazy to me.
And some people do. That's
Some people do, but does it ever last like fully? Maybe.
I don't know, man. There's a kid. I won't say his name because like I haven't kept up with him much. But there was a kid I went to school with right down the road, and like his dad was like a computer programmer. His brother, I think, became a computer programmer, and like he was really very smart and really into it. And I'm pretty sure that's what he does now. And like he knew that from the day I met him in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, like it, that's your thing, But for me, dude, if you would ask me when I was a sophomore, what am I gonna do with my life? I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be in the MLB because baseball is life,
right?
Yeah, and like that didn't happen,
right?
And so,
well, my last guest on the not my last guest, 2 ago from when yours comes out, Kaz Brooks knew that they wanted to be working with wolves. That was just they knew that from a very young age.
That she found Wolf Park in like the 90s. Or something she said, and like now I thought that was so cool.
9 years old.
9 years old. Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah,
I totally read that wrong. Yeah, 9 years old. But and now she's doing it, which I think
some people just know like that's what
like good for
I'm
them,
gonna do.
I have no idea what life is about. Even I'm like I try.
But I saw your first vlog though, and I liked some of the things you're saying where you're like, this is what I want to do. I want to work for myself. Like I don't want to be. You don't want the 9 to 5, and like. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
But I think we're about the same age actually, and so we're both like,
awesome.
We don't want to just like, I don't want my life to be owned by anywhere else, but I'm not quite old enough to see all the pathways for how exactly I'm going to provide and support and,
Yes. Okay. So
it's all ahead of us still. It's not, there's nothing like behind just yet.
I just feel like I'm taking it day to day. I really do. When I married my wife, she had already adopted two boys, amazing, just the greatest kids ever. They're 6 and 8. I'm 26, which means I technically would have had my oldest kid when I was 18, which like that's pretty young. Like plenty of people do it. I support them. Great on you.
Oh no, it's super young.
But that's pretty young.
Crazy young.
So like I'm 26 trying to parent an 8-year-old. Luckily, he's the greatest 8-year-old alive, and like he's just like me, so like we're both real emotional, and like we cry at like Humane Society commercials, you know what I mean? Like it's just like who we are, and so that works really well. But even just trying to like, man, forget music, forget a clothing brand. My job now is to be a dad, and just figuring that out day by day. It's so funny. I've been spending a lot of time with my dad recently, and just like yesterday, we were talking about how. When I was a kid, my dad was like my biggest enemy. I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And now he's the first person I call. I'm like, Dad, how the heck am I supposed to explain this to him? And it's just like, you have no idea what your path's going to be. 3 years ago, I didn't think I'd be married to who I'm married to, have the kids I have, living where I'm living. Not at all. And like the path to get here may have been super bumpy, but like I'm here now. And it's like, okay, all I have is like today. I don't even know if I have tomorrow. So how am I going to make sure that like I impact my kids in a positive way to make them better men, And how do I make sure that when my wife gets home today, she knows I love her?
Dude, that's crazy. That's crazy that I can't imagine having an 8-year-old right now.
Yeah. It's like
She adopted them before you guys were together?
Yeah. Yeah. So we were both previously not together. And so then when we got married, like we were both married previously. Okay. And so when we got together, she already had a 6 and 8-year-old. Well, technically, when we got together, it was a 4 and a 6-year-old. Okay. And like, but it's been awesome, dude. Like, it's been the greatest. All I wanted was to be when I was younger. I was like, can't wait to be a dad. Can't wait to be a dad. And it's actually really interesting because technically, they're not like we didn't make them. Like they're adopted, and so a lot of people who know like me and like my family, they're like, you always wanted to be a dad. And I'm like, dude, I am a dad. It doesn't
Right.
matter where they come from.
No, I mean, I see that. Are you
Like,
guys gonna have your own kids at any point?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
For the Midwest, you're almost full up. Like Midwest families
yeah,
have
dude,
two or
like
three,
where
right?
I think more than I don't know. I think we just like we love where we are.
Mhm.
We have two amazing kids, and like I can't imagine loving anyone more.
Mm.
I can't imagine the fact that they literally came from me changing anything for me.
No, I mean,
And so it's like, man, I might as well just like run with this, you know? And they, dude, they're like, they love country music. They love like cowboy boots and like all the things. And so they're just like, yeah, they're just like little versions of me at this point. So that's been the greatest twist in my life that ever happened.
Yeah.
Like unexpected, didn't see it coming, and then now it's like it's what I live for.
right.
And it's affected even like my music, you know? It's become like I want them to be like proud of me and who I am, and they're what I want to write songs about. And yeah, it's
But it happened really fast too. You sort of leveled right up into it. You're
Oh,
like, all right, now I'm an adult.
100%.
I got two
One day I did not have kids. The
elementary
next
school
day,
kids and
I did.
a wife and a house, and there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Does it make you feel like you skipped a level? You're like, all right, I'm a little ahead
Dude,
of
honestly,
the curve.
This is gonna maybe sound so douchey and arrogant, but I think I'm like right where I need to be. My whole life I have not been like people my age. I feel like when I was in high school, everyone was like, oh, okay. So when I was right out of high school, that's when like it's college time. You know, everyone wants to start like going, like everyone's going to parties on the weekend and stuff and like that. That's not what I did. Like I was like driven and like devoted to my craft. You know what I mean? And like I worked at a church, and like on my weekends I would be setting up stages and writing songs, and you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
like it's just how I've always been. And so by no means am I saying I'm better. I'm just at a very different place than most people my
Sure.
age. And so I think I'm right where I need to be. I think it's just been a perfect twist to like I'm excited for my kids to be in their teenagers and have like a young dad, because like my dad was perfect for me, but like I'm excited for my 16-year-old to have a 32-year-old dad, or I think that's math. 34-year-old dad. If he's 8 plus 8,
Yep, yeah.
But yeah,
34.
Yeah, thank you.
Right?
Math was hard. for
No,
me,
you
so-
got to go the other way.
So he's 8 plus 8 would be 16 for him. 26 plus 8 would be 34.
You know what's so fun is the people who listen to this podcast, like they've already done the math,
I know.
but they don't recognize that we're also talking. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to do math
Yeah,
and keep.
they're
this
very much
conversation
in their
going.
car like, we get it.
Get it. We already got it. We did the math like 5 minutes
But
ago.
I'm excited to be, like, I hope to be the house that all my kids' friends want to come to, because we're like still with it. You know
Sure,
what
yeah.
I mean? Like, I want to be that for them, because, you know, also just another thing, I have biracial children. So they're going to experience life in a whole different way than I did,
Mhm.
you know? And so I'm just excited to be their dad and be a young dad, so that I can like walk through it with them and like know what's going on culturally.
Right.
And again, like my parents were great parents, and they were still kind of with it. Like they were cool, you know. I mean, the first music I ever listened to was like Guns N' Roses. So it's like they just like stayed cool the whole time, you know?
hmm
And I just want to be that for my kids. And so though I'm like probably way ahead of the curve on the age front, I feel like right where I need to be.
Sure.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing.
That's good, man. I
Yeah.
mean, I get it. My parents were much they weren't quite as young of a parent as you're going to be.
Yeah.
But they were pretty young too. But my wife's parents are like the same age as my grandparents
Oh wow.
on
yeah.
my mom's side. So like there was much more space there
Yeah.
for her, and I know like she had a much different experience than I did.
Yeah.
You know,
And there were
growing up.
honestly probably pros for her we didn't get to experience. But also, you know, there's pros and cons with everything, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of take what you've been given and you just roll with it. And
Yep.
I've been given 2 boys. So it's great.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
You want to play us out?
Yeah.
We talked about all the Midwest things.
Yeah. Yeah. I got another song for you that I'll hit you with. That's cool.
Love it.
All right. I'm gonna move this back just a little bit again. But I'm gonna have to awkwardly tune this.
Oh, that's fine. We need the drop D.
All right, here we go.
Just by ear, just like that. I would have been grabbing the tuner.
Thursday night and I'm lonely as hell, wondering what you're up to. Can't stop thinking about what we had. I can't stop thinking about you. Hopped in my truck and I turned the dial, hoping to drift away. Then that song took me right back to that summer day. We drove all night until the sun came up, put 100 miles on my pickup truck. Hands on you, couldn't believe my luck. That's when I fell in love. Driving faster than we knew we should, but the sun on you looks so damn good. Here right now, I wish we were together. Oh, but you're gone, and the song plays on. And I just hit mile 33 with a ghost of you sitting next to me, thinking of how things used to be. And when we would drive all night until the sun came up, put 100 miles on a pickup truck. My hands on you, couldn't believe my luck. That's when I fell in love. Driving faster than we knew we should, but the sun on you would look so damn good. Here right now, I wish we were together. Oh, but you're gone. But you're gone. And I wonder how things could have been if you were here and I was him. I'd give anything to see if we can make it one more time, taking back our stupid fights. I'd give anything so we could drive all night until the sun came up. We could put 100 miles on my pickup truck. We would drive all night until the sun came up, put 100 miles on my pickup truck. My hands on you, couldn't believe my luck, and you'd fall in love. Driving faster than we knew we should, but the sun on you looks so damn good. And here right now, I wish we were together. Oh, but you're gone, and I drive on, and the song plays on. Thank you.
Hunter Rayne, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Man, that's awesome stuff. Here at the House of Rain on a rainy day. Thank you, man.
Dude, I am so thankful you had me.
It's good stuff.
This has been great.
Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, man. So you can find my music anywhere you stream music, buy music, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. At Hunter Rayne, Rayne on Instagram. If you search that name basically anywhere, I'm pretty much the only one. So YouTube, social medias, all the things. So yeah, really excited. I hope you guys follow along. Thank you. Hope
I'll
you
be
follow
following
along
along
with this guy.
Hell yeah.
Dude, you guys are doing some dope stuff.
Man, it's going to be fun. Let's do another episode sometime, all
That
right?
would be great. I'd love to.
And I'm joining a band at some point.
Yes.
Looking forward to that very
Tambourine and
much.
backup vocals.
Yeah, we should jam when this episode's done.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. I'm not going to record it for people, though.
You could.
No, can't
right.
do it. You're the artist. I'll take a few pictures, folks. As always, that's at T Hickson Life. Stay tuned because I got a lot of fun episodes coming your way as we make our way across the Midwest. I got some things cooking. It's going to be fun. So stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Thanks to my guest. And as always, we will see you on the next episode.